Welcome. You've got mail.
Welcome back to the Mail-In Podcast. It's a beautiful day in Austin, Texas. I am your host, Brett Merriman. Sitting in front of me, a mail-in veteran, and Will, who has also been on the Mail-In a bunch. Will and Sally deFries. Sally and Will deFries, welcome to the show. Pleasure to have you guys.
Thanks for having us.
As always, Brett, great to be here.
It's great.
Very excited.
I'm pumped for you guys.
It's been a long time since I've been able to hop on the Mail-In. I'm excited about this.
Have you ever been on the Mail-In not in this chair that I'm sitting in?
I think so. I think
Okay.
I've sat in this one before.
Okay.
I think the only other times I did do a little producing, though.
No, you probably were in that chair, though.
Probably was. I
Because
don't think you're
Dylan
wrong.
was right there.
Sally has always been, I feel like you're in the chair next to
We
you.
would switch around.
So is this throwing you off at all?
Not really. Well, it threw me off when I saw what I looked like on camera.
What does that mean? I thought you looked great.
Randy showed me. I look like a whale. But
You are pregnant. So, you are going to look larger than you look normally on camera when you're on the Mail-In podcast. So
I know.
it's okay.
I've been avoiding mirrors and stuff, so really had no idea what I looked like until about 5 minutes ago.
You look great. You are almost 9 months pregnant, right?
Yes.
So we're getting down to any day now. Sally, let me ask you first before we get going. How did Will do this weekend on the nursery? This past weekend?
Oh, don't ask that.
No, he did fine.
Okay.
My mom did a lot of it,
Okay.
and my nieces helped. And Will was watching a soccer game.
Well,
And my mom said, and it was the Man U game too. She said, "Do you think he can take a break and help us build something?" And I said, "No. This is the only sport he watches, and it's his one
Man.
team."
you are ride or die.
Yeah, my mom would never ask the same. She would never ask my dad something like that if there was a Texas game on. So I was like, "This is the equivalent. We can't interrupt him."
I heard the conversation transpire, but I didn't hear how it ended because I think you started whispering to her for fear that I was going to get worked up over it or something. But when I heard Sally immediately shut it down. And I was like, "Oh, thankfully."
But I also
it's
was like,
only
"It'll
90
be over
minutes.
in 45 minutes."
And I ended up building that puppy swing thing deep into the second half. So I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Building that puppy swing deep into the second
I was
half.
very confused when we registered for a puppy swing, given that we're having a child and not a puppy. But I figured out it's a swing that has puppy stuff on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no confusion with Rosie. She wasn't like, dude, what is
No,
this?
she didn't see the swing and was like, "Oh shit, that's for me."
Are you concerned about Rosie with a new family member?
Yes and no. She's been around my nephew a little bit, and I think is adequately confused,
Okay.
but
Not to the point where you're concerned if she's going to get too whoa, what is
no.
this? Or,
My bigger concern, Rosie really likes food, and will take food out of your hand. I don't know if you've been a victim to that. When the kid starts eating is when I'm going to be concerned, because she does she'll just straight up take it out, snatch it out of your hand. And I don't want some toddler walking around with a Cheeto and she just bites the kid hands off.
I don't want
Please
that
don't
either.
call CPS on us. We're going to handle it, I guess, some way.
If this is your first time listening to the Mail-In Podcast, first of all, welcome. Second of all, we do our best to answer your questions. That is the goal of the Mail-In Podcast. You may run into situations in your 20s or 30s or potentially 40s, I don't know, that you need help with. And between all of us here, we've probably been there too. We know what you're going through, and we're going to help you manage. How can you help us out? That's how we help you. How do you help us? Tell a friend about it. It's the easiest way to get into washed media. No loading phase here. Just questions and answers from people like you. Send them a clip. Send them a segment that makes sense for what they're dealing with. Subscribe on iTunes and follow on Spotify. And to provide us with some voicemails, we have one today that I'm excited about. Hit the hotline. That's 888-362-MAIL, 888-362-6245. Or you can write in at the link in the Twitter and Instagram bio at Mail-In Podcast. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
I'm so ready.
Let's do this. This one comes from John. He says, "Hey, Mail-In crew. I've recently found out my girlfriend loves brunch. Except
Who
her
doesn't?
Podcast?
her brunches are really 8-hour bar crawls. She insists I go, despite none of her friends being in relationships, which causes me to drink more as the only guy there. Whenever I say no, she accuses me of not wanting to spend quality time with her despite living together. Recently, I made a tea time, and she told me she's worried we're going to lose our Saturdays together. How do I express that this isn't quality time and I need to have time for my hobbies? She wants to hang with the girls and him.
Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that one of her friends hasn't said something.
To her?
To her.
Okay.
Because Will and I fell victim to this pretty early on in our relationship when I was living in Houston and Will would come in town. And I'd be like, well, I want to spend time with my long distance boyfriend. But
Sure.
it's, whatever, birthday or whatever. So I'd bring Will. And I would say probably half of my friends were in relationships. But same situation, like maybe one of my friends' husbands is golfing or one of them's doing whatever. So Will ends up there and he's the only guy and he's like, it's not fun for him. My friends are weirded out. And then
This happened a lot when you lived in Houston.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Because, yeah, I was in town, so I wouldn't get included. I wasn't close enough friends with any of the guys at the time
get included
to
on
get
a
included
tea-
in like a
tea
golf or an alternative plan. And it was like, yeah, this is fine going to this brunch with all the girls, but at the same time, like, they don't want me here. The only person that wants me here is Sally. And I feel the obligation to be there because I don't get to see her throughout the week and stuff. And so it's like, yeah, the Saturdays do mean something. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you think that your relationship your entire life is going to be spending every Saturday together, then you're going to get a large dose of reality at some point.
The kicker, these guys live together.
Yeah.
Throughout the week, they're having quality time, quality dinners. They're having maybe a sunbasket. Stay tuned.
If you live together, you absolutely do not have a required presence at brunch.
So I think the move here is him telling her, chill out. Like, we got to, Saturdays are for your girls and for the boys.
Okay.
Whatever.
We're doing that?
No. But I think he needs to just be honest with her and be like, I don't want to come spend my Saturday with all your friends at brunch and I want to golf. That's a legitimate thing. And then back it up with like, okay, we're going to do Friday date nights or we're going to do Thursday date nights, whatever. Make it about her. And then if she's really resistant, get the closest friend that she has that you're friends with and be like, hey, you should plan it in her ear that it's stupid when I'm there.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
because-
think they want her.
Right.
There.
I truly cannot imagine a group of girls who's like, yeah, I'm so glad Sarah's boyfriend's here. Like, it changes the vibe. It's the same way that, like, if y'all were all hanging out, I show up, you're like, oh, solid, Will's wife is here. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Never
And
said that.
But, I mean,
Yeah, that's never been said, Sally.
I'm sure not. But I just think if there's, like, if it's co-ed all around, great. But if there's, like, one guy there, at least with my friends, I'm like, God, he's kind of killing the vibe right now.
Yeah, almost through no fault of his own. He doesn't really have the have
Right.
the juice to hold his own with 8 other women at brunch.
This is not this guy's problem at all.
No.
This is her problem, and that's de facto his problem. But something I do whenever we do a Saturday tea time or a Sunday tea time, whatever, is I just make sure that after the tea time's done or scheduled and everything like that, usually I try to make sure it's an early one so that if Sally wants to sleep in, I don't have to feel bad about ditching her on a Saturday for 6 hours.
Right.
And then I usually try to make sure that the schedule's cleared after the tea time in order for us to do something if we
Right.
want to do it. I'd say most times we end up going to like Matt's El Rancho or some other restaurant with a group, so it doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, but it sounds like this strategy wouldn't work because she turns it into an 8-hour bar crawl and just gets
Right.
obliterated.
Yeah.
So it's
And she's calling that quality time. I think Sally's right here with supplementing what his Saturday quality time in quotations with a Friday or Thursday intimate date.
Right.
You're like, hey, we're getting quality time. You don't have to bring me on Saturday. I still love you. It's not going to take away from our relationship not spending, mimosa trains together.
I mean, and definitely don't mention to her that, like, her friends are definitely talking shit about her behind her back. Because, like, they are. They're like, God, this girl can't leave her boyfriend. And, like, it kind of probably they're also talking shit about this guy, being like, does he have a life or friends? But
yeah,
it's not
that would
his
be a
fault.
red flag.
Yeah.
Like, does he have friends?
This poor dude just sitting there sipping on mimosas, and I love how he mentions he's like, yeah, I drink more because I don't know what to do with my hands.
Right.
Because I'm in a conversation that I shouldn't be in.
The other move here, too, is, like, maybe bringing some guy friends along next time so that you, like, have someone else there.
2 birds, 1
Why
stone.
don't you
Yeah.
plan like a dinner out on Saturday night with everybody that's like a couples thing so you don't have the obligation
But there's
to
no
go see them?
couples. They're the
Couples.
only couple.
Oh,
Why don't
they're
you-
the only
Why
couple.
doesn't he bring some of his boys and just try to
Yeah, pawn
pair
them off on other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to go about this, but number one is to, like, be honest with your girlfriend about the fact that you already live together.
He's done what he needs to do, and that's acknowledge that there's an issue here, and the issue needs to get solved.
Yeah.
And this is not a good problem to have.
No, but I think it's an easy one. I mean, unless she's just that codependent, and she could be, but maybe that's just a whole other issue that needs to get worked out. You know what I'm saying?
I guess.
Just go low on Saturdays
Yeah,
and
this
spend
guy
some
just
quality
wants to go
time
play
on Friday.
golf. Like, just let him go play. You guys can meet up after, and then his drunk friends from the golf course can show up with your drunk friends from brunch, and all of a sudden, you got a couple's dinner off at El Tiempo. It sounds great.
Yeah.
El Tiempo sounds so good.
It sounds so good. I've been craving it lately, and I haven't had it in forever. I don't think I've had it since the pandemic started.
What's your the molcajete sauce?
Yes.
Yeah,
Of which they have a
let's
very
do it.
good substitute, or I guess it's not a substitute. It's a molcajete sauce at Joanne's in Austin, Texas, and it's the only other place I've seen that has like a comparable
really?
one. Yes, it's delightful.
And maybe we knew that.
Molcajete.
Well, the molcajete is actually referring to the dish it's made in.
I know, but this sauce is similar to the one that they have at El Tiempo.
Sorry that I'm moving around a lot. I really cannot get comfortable.
Because you have a human growing inside of you?
So
Speaking
that's
of,
coming across on the mic. I'm sorry.
Speaking of golfing on Saturdays, you know what my favorite part about a golf course is, Will?
What?
The landscaping,
The grass?
the grass. You know what they could use to get better grass over
I've got
there?
a good idea of something they could use.
How about our friends over at Sunday? Spring is just around the corner, and that means it's time to get the lawn on track. Will, I know, the last thing anyone needs is another complicated or toxic lawn product. You don't need that. Randy just threw me off with a new logo for Sunday on
Dude,
the
it's a
screens
hot
here.
picture of it.
It's
Their
hot.
branding is so good.
It's hot. Sunday is not just another lawn care product. It's a customized lawn plan that works with nature, not against it. They take all of the guesswork and unwanted chemicals out of the process so you can grow a beautiful lawn that's better for people, pets, and the planet. Sally, that's the 3 Ps.
Yeah.
People, pets, and planet. What I like most about it, I don't have a lawn, but my buddy in Austin does, who I have gifted my Sunday products to, and we're doing a little experiment here. We've already put it down. We put down the primer, and it's absolutely fantastic to use. As Will mentioned, the branding is super tight.
If there's ever a city to test out a lawn and garden nutrient in, it's Austin, because
Right.
Austin will test your lawn more than most cities in the United States.
Exactly, and it's all you have to do is you pop it onto your garden hose, screw it in, and go.
Dunzo.
It's incredible. The coolest thing was the free lawn analysis. You hearing about this, Will?
Dude, it's like it just analyzes your lawn.
It gives you lawn stats. It's next gen stats for your lawn.
I'd say I don't know how it works, but like they actually explain how it works, and it all makes sense.
Yeah, it's crazy. You pop in, Sally. You pop in your address, and it gives like a grade on your soil. It's like you have A+ nutrients. And
You know
like,
who we need to do this for? Drew Betcher.
Yeah.
let's get Drew Betcher in here.
Noted friend of the podcast.
Noted friend of the podcast, also noted lawn boy. He loves a good lawn.
He's ripe for Sunday. He's absolutely ripe for Sunday. Go to getsunday.com, put in your home address, and their free lawn analysis took care of the rest, all in just seconds. Custom lawn plan just by being like, here's where I live. Boom. Sunday uses soil and climate data to create a tailored nutrient plan so you get all the stuff your lawn needs and nothing it doesn't. Here's what it's made with. Ready? Seaweed. You know what that is.
Big fan of that.
Iron. You know what that is.
I pump it.
How about molasses?
Ooh.
So you can grow better and feel better about it. None of the crazy stuff. Like the stuff you can light on fire. You don't need that.
No, you don't want that. If your lawn's on fire, you've done something gravely wrong.
Exactly. Sunday explains what you get and why, and everything is waiting at your door when you need it. All I had to do, like I said, attach the pouch to the garden hose and spray. Used to take up my whole day, Will. Now it takes 15 minutes.
Beautiful.
15 minutes. Best of all, it really works, and the lawn is looking better than ever. I'm getting updates weekly.
That's big. You have an investment in your friend's lawn, and I like that.
I sure do. Here's how you can take advantage of Sunday. Go to getsunday.com/Stella to get $20 off your custom lawn plan at checkout. That's $20 off your custom lawn plan at getsunday.com/Stella. You ready for a voicemail?
Well, I have a question for you before we do that.
Sure.
Have you considered getting a dog so you can start using it as the promo code on this podcast?
Yes, I already have a name in a. I was gonna say breeder, but I don't want to say that too loud.
Shh, don't say that.
I actually have a friend who has some Newfoundland Retriever.
That's a
Puppies.
huge dog in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do like a 150-pound dog.
They're cute as hell.
Oh, that sounds okay. We'll talk after the podcast.
Okay.
Here's a voicemail.
Hey, Mailing Crew. I got a question for you. Last November, I closed on my very first house, and I've been living there ever since. It's my first house, and it's been taking a while for me to kind of get things set up and put together. The long and short of it is I feel like I'm at a spot now where I'm ready to show it off and have some friends over. I want to have a party. However, I want to invite over coworkers and also some personal friends and friends of mine from the gym. Do you think it's a good idea to mix two friend groups? Do you think I should do two parties? What's your guys' take on kind of mingling friend groups like that? All right, love to hear your take. Love the pod. Thanks. Bye.
Shouts to you for doing having a house.
For buying a house?
Yeah, that's tight.
better than what I'm doing.
No.
Not buying a house?
Yeah.
Cool.
Are you mixing friend groups at a housewarming party?
Yes.
Absolutely, you are.
You don't need to have two parties.
I mean,
Unless you want to have two parties. Like, that doesn't sound like the worst solution.
Right, but like inherently, if you're hosting the party's about you. It's about your friends. So it doesn't matter that they're from different walks of life. You still can have all your friends over.
Yeah.
Whether they're from work or college or your neighbors or whatever.
Sure. You got to make sure that in those friend groups, though, it's like a bachelor party. You got to make sure there's a glue guy involved aside from you. Like, you got to have one of your boys, like, one of your boys is going to be able to walk up to that new group and be like, oh, hey, I'm Chris. Like, I can hold
No,
court.
totally agree. Because you don't want to invite, like, a group of really close work friends and, like, none of them want to talk to anybody else.
And it clicks off in corners of your kitchen.
I'll say this. Will and I have been to a party like that. I'm going to
no.
just out Lily really fast. Remember Lily's Friendsgiving party? When it was, like, work, family, and then the other, like, random friends that, like, I kind of knew. And I knew her work friends, too, but it, like, quickly became, like, a work party that, like, the other four of us were just present for.
It was a Friendsgiving party, and it was very fun. Don't get me wrong. But as the party wore on, people started dropping if they weren't in, like, the main crew. And Sally and I were kind of the last people standing at this point that were like the outsiders of the work crew.
Oh,
and they started playing this super aggressive game of charades, which was admittedly a really fun game. But
Called
at the same
Fishbowl.
time, I didn't feel like I had any say in the game. And so I was like, okay, I'm seeing some cheating happening from one of the teams, and I want to be able to call them out and not get, like, in trouble.
Dang.
And so I was like, Sally, maybe after this next round, we just bow out peacefully and we just leave. Because I just didn't want to sit there and play that game with a bunch of people. And it's also a game that's kind of humiliating to play with people you don't know. I do think that there's, like, something to be said about playing games to get to know people. But charades with a bunch of people that you don't know at all is really a difficult one to knock out.
It's tough.
And so it just was like, would I be better off not drinking more and just going home from this party where, like, no one really cares if I'm here or not? Like, if I went up and did a charades thing, like, all the coworkers are standing there just like, okay, get the brother-in-law off the stage here.
Yeah.
Let's move on with it.
That's my one caveat. I still say it's your party, invite who you want to. But if you're like, say your one group of friends is just like really intense and they're like going to dominate the party, maybe you just have a party with just them. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's the situation we were in. We were like, the other people, not the work friends, were definitely the outsiders. And I'm like her sister, and I still was like, I should probably not be here. Like, there's a lot of inside jokes going on about their boss that I, like, don't know about. It's making charades really difficult.
The nonverbal communication is just, it's
not
interrupted
there,
by,
yeah.
Talking about Slack on the side. They're like
Yeah.
asking you how to make money off of a podcast. It's a whole big thing.
So, I mean, this guy knows his friends best. I mean,
It's weird. It's kind of it's almost difficult for me to answer this question because I've forever worked in a scenario where, like, it's not a corporate environment anywhere that I've ever worked.
right.
And so when it comes to intermixing, coworkers with friends, it's like I've always kind of had friends that are coworker. Like, everyone's already kind of friendly in that way.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't know. Are your friends total shitheads who are going to, like, be playing some random drinking game in your backyard and, like, fucking shit up until late hours of the night?
And then making you look bad in front of your coworkers?
That's a concern. And so I hesitate to just tell him, like, yeah, throw it all together. Because if you are worried about your shithead friends, then maybe you, like, kind of plant the seed with everybody beforehand. Like, hey, like, if you want to hang out after, that's totally fine. But, like, we need to start ushering people out of here after, like, 2 hours.
Or, like, I don't know, being in the medical field, I feel like nurse friends, like, love them. They're my dear friends, but they're also probably not people that I would, like, be friends with outside of work all the time.
Okay.
And then you get that crew together and, like, all they talk about is work. So if that's going to be like your work friends, is that a fun party for your other friends? Probably not.
Yeah, I think.
Like there are some things that could go wrong. So if you think, cool, these people should know each other, great. But if you want to have two parties, I guess.
Part of me listening to this voicemail, this guy just kind of wants to flex his new house.
That's true.
Like
I
this
mean, I would
dude-
too.
Yeah,
especially if I bought one in Austin right
you know
now.
the feeling of when you get your apartment or house, like finally everything's decorated.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're like finally there. This dude's at that point, and he wants to get a party off, or two, or three.
I think he wants to have two separate parties.
Yeah, I think he
I mean,
does. Go with
Go
two.
for it. But there's nothing preventing him from having one party.
Right.
The only thing preventing him from having one party is if you don't trust your friends.
Yes.
Correct.
You gotta
And
be
if
like
you don't
a-
trust your friends, then have two separate ones. Make the work one a quick, brief happy hour that like you maybe dress up a little bit, and then with your buddies and they're like plus ones, whoever. That's when you let it rip a little bit and have some fun and really break that house in. You don't like this
Break
take,
it in,
do
use
you?
the-
No,
party
I
house.
just
You're looking
think
at me like I'm crazy.
No, I think it's funny that you think the work friends are the ones that are like not the raging ones.
Ooh.
I guess because in Lily's situation, the work friends are.
Yeah, but she works with a very
partiers.
young clientele. Like that's a cool hip company,
Yeah.
as opposed to I don't know this guy's job, but like not everyone works in that kind of work environment where
Basically-
all of her coworkers are her friends so, in a way.
I want this guy to send me a roster of everyone he's going to invite with like a full breakdown, and I will determine the guest list.
I like that. Speaking of Lily, her house is actually the first place I ever went in Austin.
Oh, I forgot about that for a
It was-
tailgate.
Tailgate. Dylan Fratelli, besides Will, Dylan, and Dave, is the first person I ever met in Austin, Texas. Walking out of Lily's front door, I was like, "Oh, hey man, what's up?" And he goes, "Oh, like hello," and I was like, "Whoa, what are we doing?"
Who are
And I was like,
you?
"Oh, you're the South African professional golfer. That's cool." So that's a
He did steal some breakfast tacos from the buffet. So I was like, dude, I feel
Just
like
gonna like out him
Yeah.
on the podcast right now.
he listens. He's a
Oh,
listener.
okay. I drafted him way too early in my most recent Masters draft, and so I'm riding for him.
Yeah.
I need him. He played really well last year, so he got the nod this year. I trust him, and so no, yes, I am going to out him for stealing 2 breakfast tacos from the spread when he was heading to the game.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I respect the move, and I might have stolen a few cookies on my way out as well.
Yeah.
That's
You got to
fair.
fuel
It was a
up.
hot day. Remember that? Oof.
It was that was an all-time game day though, wasn't that LSU?
LSU, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was probably the best game day pound for pound that I've had in Austin.
I like it. Let's do the next one. This one comes from a 27-year-old dude who is single and happy about it. He says, "I'm single and happy about it. Is this normal? For the longest time, it never bothered me that I was single. But I'm now at the stage where my friends are getting engaged, married, and some are even becoming parents. I, on the other hand, have never had a relationship last longer than 6 months and have never really put much stock in finding a long-term partner. Here's where the flexing begins. I'm an associate at a big law firm, so I work basically 10 to 14 hours, 6 days a week, and I really do not have much time to do anything besides work, sleep, work out, and occasionally see friends and family. I'm also currently based in beautiful Austin, Texas, but I'm actively considering a transfer to NYC or DC once the pandemic ends. Basically, I'm asking for life validation from internet people's opinions I trust. Is this dude cool being single?"
Without a doubt.
He's
Yeah.
living his best
Without a
life.
doubt. So I actually talked about this briefly on Sunday Scaries last week. Not to plug another pod during this pod, but I'm doing
Go
that
for it.
so right now. Someone sent in a question talking about the selfish years, which I had never heard of before. Have you guys heard of the selfish years?
No, but I mean,
You can guess what it is.
I can guess what
Yeah.
it is.
You can
I
guess
like
what it
that
is.
term.
And it's essentially just the time in your 20s when you should be spending time figuring out what you want to do, what your interests are, that formative period of your life. And as I started researching it, I was like, maybe I kind of wish I would have known about this concept sooner because I spent so much of my 20s beating myself up for trying to find. I was the opposite of this guy. I
Right.
didn't want to be single. I wanted to find someone to spend the rest of my life with, and I was putting a bunch of pressure on myself. Sounds like this guy's got it figured out more than we did at that age, or I did at that age.
That's why I included it, because a lot of the questions we get are, I'm in this career and I want to find love, or I want to find like my person, and they're 24 or 26. This dude is just like, is it cool to not have that impetus on me to go settle down immediately? And I think it is. I think good for this guy.
I wonder if he's from the South originally, because being in Austin, maybe he went to UT or like some other school in Texas. this is really common. Like, I feel like having your friends get married, even start families when you're this young is the norm. And it can make you feel like the outsider because other people are doing what he's doing, like pursuing a career or just like doing him, not being in a relationship. And there is a lot of pressure here from your friends, from your family, from your friends' families, like going over to your friend's mom's house and they're like, why aren't you married? It's like
Going over to the housewarming party where all the coworkers are
yeah,
and shit.
Yeah.
people wondering why you're not in a relationship. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, that exists as much outside of like the South.
You are 100% right, especially New York.
Like, and I have friends who live in
Especially New
LA, same thing.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to be in a relationship, very happy by myself, or I'm in a relationship, but like in no rush to get married. Unfortunately,
Dating in LA is annoying though because you have to go like down the 305 and like over to Sunset and then you have to go like all the way back over. Like it's just like you don't want
the
to.
do you
405.
Do you even,
Whatever.
do you even Abbott Kinney did?
Sorry, I'm Mr. 305.
Okay.
Go to
It's Miami.
MTN.
LA.
LA. You been to LA, Sal?
I have been to LA.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
okay. Unnecessary flex.
LA.
Like a couple months
The
ago.
key to this dude's entire thing is like the second to last sentence. I'm actively considering a transfer to New York City or DC once the pandemic ends.
Yeah. Boom.
No, don't get in a like I'm never going to tell someone to get out of a long-term relationship because like Sally and I were long-term. I've been in
You mean long distance?
Yeah, sorry. Whoa. Yikes. No, I would never advise someone to like immediately get into a long-distance relationship, but at the same time like don't do it if you're going to if you really want to if you know you're going to transfer, like don't put yourself in that position.
Absolutely.
It's just you're asking for trouble, especially if you're content the way you are now.
And you'll find if you are in New York or DC, the like-minded people there with this attitude,
Right.
who are just so intensely career-focused and like they live for that 100-hour work week. Like that's what they want to be doing, and that's how they feel fulfilled, rather than having a family or having a long-term relationship in their late 20s. Like people just want to grind. Not that the other way is not any better or worse as like a
Well, I say
mantra,
this on the flip side, same question, like different question is like you said, people are calling in being like, I want a relationship, blah, blah, blah. My friends are getting married, etc. Honestly, so much of your 20s is like figuring out who you are. And I truly believe that like when you're meant to be doing something, you just know. So like honestly, wasn't dating in my 20s until I dated Will, and I was like, I'm supposed to be dating Will. Like, and I same thing. Like I wanted a relationship, but I think that things get put in your life, whether like whatever you believe in, whether it's religion or philosophical, like whatever your beliefs are. I am just that type of person where I think like things are put in your life when you're ready for them or ready to at least accept them. So like if you feel like this is the right thing for you to be in a job where you're working a lot and you want to be career focused and you want to move, that's what you're supposed to be doing. And he sounds like he's pretty determined about what he wants to do, and I don't think that he should feel bad about that.
No, and I don't think you should let your friends shame you for
But there
being
will
that
be
way.
people who
Yeah.
will think he's not normal. Like there are people who, it's funny, like being pregnant, people who asked like, oh, when are you going to have a kid? But then there's people now that I'm pregnant, they're like, oh, you're having a kid. You're like, cool. Like you clearly don't think this is the right choice. But like people are going to put that shit on you all the time. You just got to let it slide off.
Totally.
This guy's he doesn't need our help.
No, dude, he's got this figured out. Although I
He's
will say
fine.
there's people that are like in their late 30s and early 40s in New York that are like, I wish I had given up the hustle at 31 or 32.
That was going to
Yeah.
be the only question I had is there an age where you should start, putting it on your radar that maybe you should start investing some more of your time. But like, I just think everyone's situation's so different that like, I don't even want to make people think about that.
But I also think what's going on in your life kind of shapes that. Like if he moves and then feels more ready to settle down, or maybe most of his friends are settling down and he looks around and then starts thinking, oh, that's something I want now.
Yeah.
Then that's going to shape how he feels. But right now he's looking at it like, and that's fine. So going to validate this guy as an internet person he doesn't know.
This guy's, he's got it figured out. I'm not worried about him. He's gonna eventually get something that just falls right into his lap. Maybe it's, physically or just emotionally, and he's gonna be just fine.
That's 3 validations from the squad. You're
You're validated, bro.
You're on to Hollywood, my man.
Congrats.
Next one. This question says, Yo, Brett and the deFries fam. I've been dating a girl for a few months, and it's been off the charts good. I'm looking long-term and starting to think about next steps in our relationship. In 6 months, my lease will be up. She owns her own place. Am I crazy for having thoughts about moving in with someone that early? At the point I'd be hypothetically moving out, we will have been together for 9 months, which after typing it doesn't seem like very long. Will and Sally, how did you know you were ready to move in together? Thanks. 9 months is a little short. For me, maybe a little short. A little short.
No, this is fine.
What if they haven't done a Christmas?
I don't know.
I don't know, Jim.
Are you sure it's not too short, Sally?
I'm
9
very
months?
sure.
9 months.
And they've only been together for 6. The other 3 are hypothetical.
No, they've been together for 3. His lease is up in 6.
Is that what it
then
is?
They will have been
Oh,
together
God.
for 9
Dude, I
months.
think this guy needs to chop through the next couple months and just see where his head's at then.
Yeah, let's get
I-
chopping.
Okay, here's the deal about
It's not going to take him
apartments.
6 months to find an apartment.
Sign a bridge deal.
Yeah,
1
I-
year. Give me 1 year.
No, okay, here's the thing.
Wait till she brings it up and then make your decision.
If they've talked about it, great. Here, 6 months, if you're living somewhere, probably in 4 months, they're going to ask you, do you want to renew? That's when you can have a conversation. Then you've been together for 7 months. At 7 months, I knew I was going to marry you.
I know, but you and I were in a different position where we never, we didn't even live together until we were really deep into our relationship. So we never really had to cross this bridge.
But
I would have, don't get me wrong, I would have lived with you after 6 months or after 7 months because I was in the same boat. But this guy's clearly not in that boat right now.
I'm not, and here's the thing. Not every relationship has to be determined at 7 months.
Totally.
You may know at 7 months, 6 months, 3 months, whenever, that you're going to end up with somebody. That doesn't mean that the people next to you who are in a relationship also have to decide at the same time. And that doesn't make their relationship any less valid. Sometimes it takes people years to figure that out. If you feel ready and she feels ready, then I think that is fine. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying oh, I knew at 3 months. How dare you not know?
Mm-hmm.
If you know, if this guy feels like he knows and the girl feels like she knows, great. But I think what he's saying is am I crazy? No, I don't think you're crazy. Yes, some people may judge you because, again, my paradigm is different from your paradigm. I knew very early on. You may not, and that's okay. I kind of agree. You've got 6 months left. Wait a couple more, see how it's going. Honestly, the thing that is the bigger red flag for me is she owns the place. And so you're not moving into a place together. It's you're moving into her place. So that can bring some
That's a red flag for you?
No, not a red flag, but that is the more concerning thing.
No. This is the reason he should even go in more of the direction of living with her. Because it's not like they're entering a lease together that they could possibly need to get out of. If it doesn't work out, he just leaves.
Correct. But I also think that brings its own host of problems. Are you going to pay her rent? Are you...
Let's work on the assumption that he's going to pay rent.
I know. I'm just saying...
Unless he found a sugar mama, then he should definitely move in with her. He should definitely move in.
No, but I'm
Free
saying
rent?
to me, him knowing that he wants to move in with her, not an issue. Him moving into the place she owns is more of the harder thing to overcome, I guess, in my opinion, because I've watched people I know do this, where it's been okay, you got to hammer out, there's some awkwardness, are you going to pay her rent?
She needs to draft a lease.
Like,
Needs to get a
we've known
contract.
people who somebody owned the place and their boyfriend moved in with them, and then they broke up and he had to move out, and it was.
But that's better than it's better that he moves out and it's a clean breakup than rather than being like, well, we just entered this 12-month lease and now we're
Yeah.
breaking up 4 months into it.
I mean, you're right.
I actually
totally
think this
see that
makes it
point.
more feasible than what it would be if you were moving into a place together.
Right, where you have to like split things evenly. You're right.
Good for her
that's
for
a good
owning
point.
something like that. I mean,
I guess it depends on how she feels.
This has to be a two-way street.
Right.
It can't be like, hey, I think this is a really good idea. You want a place? Let's move in. And she's like, yeah, like, okay. This has to be like total communication thing here.
Yeah.
Two-way street.
I get why his brain's going this way.
I don't think it has to. I don't think his brain's going that way though, just because she owns her own place. I think he just likes her that much.
I think he needs to take a couple months off of even worrying about this.
Mm-hmm.
See if his rent's going up. If the idea gets floated out there, or if like one drunken night at dinner it gets floated out, like, well, I mean, what if we live together? Then like have that conversation when you have it. But I think you're still far enough out and deep enough into the relationship that I don't think this is something you need to let like occupy your emotions right now.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Let the Tempranillo get flowing a little bit.
Yeah.
But
go split a bottle of red and
I
see what
don't
happens
think
after
you
that.
need to like put the. I think his feelings are his feelings. They're valid. Like, I don't think he needs to be like, oh, well, I'm only going to do it if my rent goes up.
Okay, I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying, like, if it makes sense to move in with her or it makes sense to not, then just figure it out then. But, like, you're still 6 months out. You just, like, he moved in, like, 6 months ago, feasibly. Maybe.
I still think, like, 3 months still feels even a little honeymoon phasey to me.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
It could be.
But
Especially living
again, every relationship is different.
right,
Like 3
right.
months. 3 months is very different from your relationship and from our relationship because we were long distance, and
I
it
was
very
living with my
is
girlfriend's parents.
exactly. It still is very honeymoony in that phase. But when you're with someone and you're like with them every day, I mean, we've all seen Love Island. Then you start to like really get to know somebody if you're like spending an inordinate amount of time with somebody.
Totally.
You know.
And their to-dos.
Tattoos.
To-dos. Let this simmer a little bit. Hit us back in 3 months. That's my official
Yeah.
stance.
See you in 3 months, dog.
Let's do the next one.
I support it.
This one says, hey, Big Game, and in parentheses, guest of Big Game or guests, this is going to be incredibly niche. I need some help writing a congratulations card for a wedding. Now, before I get to the rest of the question, this question goes somewhere, but the question is it is niche. I want to discuss what's bigger around this question. So before you get too many answers in your head, hear me out
Okay.
for afterwards.
I can do that.
Okay. About a year ago, I was invited to the wedding of a close female friend from high school. I'm 26 now for context. Back in high school, we were very good friends, and there was some, in quotes, bad timing of never actually trying to date because we were never single at the same time. Sort of, again in quotes, the one that got away vibes that we actually even started joking about a couple years back. Dun dun dun. So anyway, the wedding is coming up in a few weeks, and I realized I should probably write a card congratulating them along with the gift. Don't get me wrong, this isn't an I still have feelings for her thing, but I am afraid a poorly worded card could come off that way. Do I just get a gift and do a quick one-sentence congratulations to not cause a problem, or is there a way to write a nice card without coming off inappropriately, or am I overthinking this? Now the bigger thing.
This is dicey territory, my man.
Is your feelings still there?
He
Yes,
has
there's-
feelings for
He's
her.
in love with this girl.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So
The don't get me wrong, there isn't a quote, I still have feelings for her thing is a lie. I mean, sorry, person, if this is your question, I think you need to do some reflecting because I think you're in love with her.
This dude's down bad.
He's down bad.
This
He's-
is a
he's in
total
love with
my
her.
best
I
friend's
get it.
wedding situation, except for he's the Julia Roberts, okay? Right?
Yes, 100%. So that's why I wanted to discuss the bigger thing here is, are you going to, maybe it's not an ex, but are you going to the one that got away? Are you going to that wedding?
Sounds
How
like
do
he's
you-
not. Maybe he is. I don't know.
I think he is, and I think it's gonna speak now or forever hold your peace, and he's gonna have to like stand up in the back of the pew or in the pews and like.
Our man's needs to take a step back
Yeah.
a little bit. Like, I mean, I get where he's coming from, I guess. Like, I understand why you know, he might have these feelings, but in no way, shape, or form should you express that you might have these feelings
No.
at all. Like
You
the ship sailed. Maybe if she was dating this guy and you know you still had this like friendly back and forth, that might be it's still inappropriate, but it might be a little more appropriate. But like now she's got they were clearly boyfriend girlfriend before, then they got engaged, and now they're gonna get married. Like the ship has sailed. You just got to send a gift and move on.
This dude, just do not watch Wedding Crashers over the next couple of
No,
weeks.
don't
Do
watch
not
any
do it.
romantic comedies over the next
Don't
few
watch
weeks.
my best friend's wedding. No, you get a gift. You write on the card, congratulations, so and so and so and so. May you have a happy life together.
Mhm.
Signed,
It's down
Frank.
bad.
Here's the thing. There's a small part of me that like, when I read this question, I was like, he's in love with her, I think. But there is also the possibility that he really does feel like, okay, girl that like should have dated but never did, whatever. I think once the wedding's over, like she's moved on, it's going to be better for this guy. Part of me too is like, is this all like brought on by his high school friends being like, oh, like I saw like, I'm just trying to make up names at this point, but I've said Sarah like 20 times. Sarah's getting married. Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? Because I have been to a lot of weddings, and I've been to a friend's wedding that we had like a fling in college that Will went with me to the wedding, and like multiple people at the wedding were like, how do you feel about this? I was like, pretty good. I'm in a relationship.
See the super hot guy next to me? Like, yeah.
We're friends. Really like his wife. Like, I think people like see that. So part of me is like, are his friends asking him about this? Like, I think he just needs to write a congratulatory card, very generic, give a gift, and like let sleeping dogs lie. Like
Yeah.
I feel
think
for this
so, too.
guy, but
I do, too.
I don't have any advice for him that he's gonna like hearing. So
It's the one that got away vibes is tough because say they actually had dated or hooked up in high school or whatever, they would have made this easier because obviously it didn't work out. And
Right.
then
And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like, I've been to so many weddings too where like the ex is like in the wedding party, and you're just like, cool, that's part of our lives. Like, we dated, we move on.
you could be
I
lighthearted
want to
about
like
it.
breathe. I want to believe him that he's like fine with it, but I don't think he is.
I know. If he was fine with it, he wouldn't have these thoughts. That's just my thinking.
But if he's like worried about like her future husband being weirded out by it, literally give a gift, write like a very generic card, and move on your way. Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna like offend that dude.
Right.
Maybe drop an inside joke for when they get divorced and you can.
No,
super,
okay. No, then you'll offend
Get
that
loose
dude.
with it.
But like, if you just write a like, hey, congrats, whatever, many happy returns.
I wonder if they're close enough that like they can make an inside joke like at the wedding or something like that. Like
No, Brett, no. No. No.
Dude, don't. I don't know. I feel for this guy because like the one that got away vibes, and I don't know. I don't know what you do. You do what you said. You write a super generic thing,
And then you let
and
you
you
let
never think about it
yourself
again.
move on.
Owen
Maybe
Wilson.
watch My Best Friend's Wedding to like really drive
that-
it home the
okay.
point. Have you seen My Best Friend's Wedding,
No.
Brett?
I have not.
Basically, the premise of the movie is that Julia Roberts and Dermot Mulroney, who I hopefully I'm saying his name right.
Mulroney or Maloney?
Mulroney.
Dermot Maloney.
We had an episode about Dermot's.
Dermot
one time.
Maloney.
Is it Maloney or Mulroney?
I
There's
believe
an
it's
R in
Mulroney.
it.
It's
Okay.
Mulroney. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You got it.
Our best friends, and they made a pact that when they were 28, if they weren't married yet, they would get married.
Ah.
And they go to dinner on her 28th birthday, and she's like, we're going to get married. I've been in love with him. And then it turns out he's engaged to Cameron Diaz. It is a whole thing. And yeah, it's actually,
Aren't two of those actors also in The Holiday? Isn't that who Cameron Diaz is in love with in The Holiday?
no, that's Jude Law.
Fuck.
Dude,
Yeah.
how are you gonna mess up Jude Law?
No.
and Dermot Mulroney. That's
Isn't
so
You're
Dermot
thinking
Mulroney
of
the-
Wedding Date, which was with Deborah Messing.
Okay. I get it. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Brett.
Brett. Maybe
No,
maybe
hold
spend
on.
the weekend watching a few rom-coms.
Hold on. I am thinking of The Holiday because Dermot Mulroney is the first guy Isn't he the first guy that
No,
what's
that's
her name
just a
falls in love
random
with?
dude that's also in 27 Dresses. So if you want me to just flex some.
flex rom-com knowledge? I'm literally sitting with two of the most knowledgeable rom-com people
Yeah,
on the planet here.
We're here, and we'll show
Maybe
out
we
for
need to
it.
have a
Speaking
rom-com.
of, keep an eye out.
Yeah, keep an eye out.
Sunday Scaries. You know what I'm keeping an eye out for?
He's worth $11 million. Shouts to Dermot Mulroney. Sorry.
I'm keeping an eye out for my Sunbasket that's set to arrive.
Sonny
Will.
B.
Winter blues got your kitchen game feeling kind of blah? Not anymore. It's going to be 95 on Friday.
Yeah. It's going to be a hot one down here.
Let Sunbasket put a little spring in your mix. Get healthy, delicious meals delivered to your door each week for a great price. If your days are anything like mine, you wake up, you have breakfast, you do a little work, and suddenly it's dinner time. And you've got zero time to meal plan or prep.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, hit me.
Do they have like paleo options?
Yeah.
What about if I was like a vegetarian?
Yeah.
What if I was trying to eat lean and clean?
Yeah, and guess what? They're healthy, delicious, and ready in minutes, Will.
Dang.
Lots of choices to help you eat well, and Sunbasket's got them all covered for you. The fresh and ready meals are just $8.99. How about that? And they're good for your body and your budget.
I might
$8.99
$8.99 of these meals.
Every
Not at
Sunbasket
once. That'd be a
meal
lot of cows.
is filled with only premium quality real food, including organic fresh produce, antibiotic and hormone-free meats, and sustainably sourced seafood. I always hate that part of the read because it's a tongue twister.
It's a lot. Sustainably sourced seafood is like she sells down by the shore.
Probably sustainable seafood, though.
Sustainably sourced
She
seafood,
sells
yes.
sustainable seafood down by the seashore.
Sustainably sourced seafood.
Oh, she thought she had
she
it.
thought she had
Damn
it.
it.
Nope.
You know what their chefs have done, Will?
I think I have an idea.
They've won Michelin awards.
What about a James Beard Award?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why not take the night off and let them cook for you? Try delicious meals such as braised beef Penang curry with jasmine rice and sweet peas, shrimp paella with fire-roasted tomatoes and bell peppers, or pappardelle with wilted spinach, sweet peas, and fresh ricotta. Will, I know you've had the cauliflower mac and cheese at the crib. What do you think?
I have had the cauliflower mac and cheese, and I have to say, it's a wonderful replacement for your unhealthy, just normal mac and cheese.
It's a delight.
If I've learned anything, it's that cauliflower can be anything it wants to be.
It sure
and with
can.
Sunbasket, that's never been more true.
Because it's mac and cheese, literally
It's
one of
just
the best meals
amazing.
of all time. Cauliflower, man, how about that? Sunbasket fresh and ready meals come freshly prepared and ready to heat up in as little as 6 minutes. You can that's like one FIFA game.
It's
half.
a half of a FIFA, yeah.
How about that?
Halftime, you go pop it in.
Boom.
You can let it cool down. By the time you're done, like waxing some
With the
kid
second half, bang,
Done.
ready to go.
Yeah.
How about that? Right now, Sunbasket has a limited time offer. Get $90 off.
What?
And 4 free gifts across your first 4 deliveries, including free shipping on the first box when you go right now to sunbasket.com/Randy and enter promo code Randy at checkout. That's sunbasket.com/Randy and enter promo code Randy at checkout for $90 off and 4 free gifts across your first 4 deliveries, plus free shipping on your first box. Holy shit.
Is that a better deal than we have on Circling Back?
that's
Are you
incredible.
holding back on us?
Sunbasket.com/Randy and enter promo code Randy. That offer expires next week. So do it today when you hear this podcast or on
Mash it.
Thursday. I guess tomorrow. Let's go to the next one. You guys recognize these noises?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got mail.
You've got mail. Hey, mail-in crew. Love the pod. I'm in a very difficult predicament. Is that a repetitive? Difficult predicament.
A predicament is inherently difficult,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but maybe he's trying to express how
Exp-
very difficult his predicament
Exactly.
is.
I feel like very difficult predicament is like an Eminem lyric.
Yeah.
I'm in a very difficult predicament.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And could use some insight from someone outside the situation. I've been in my current position for 5 years and really do love my job, but it's the only professional job I've ever had, and I'm thinking I'm getting to the point where I need to move on. I've been networking and building connections and have had a great deal of success with this, so much so that I've gotten invited to a very exclusive convention of about 40 of the top people in my profession. Okay, go off. The big holdup is that the potential date for this is the exact same as my best friend's wedding.
The movie or his actual best friend's
I
wedding?
think it's his actual best friend.
Okay, just trying to clarify.
He's my best friend and has been for the last decade. It's at a destination wedding in Sonoma, and the conference is in the Adirondacks. Shouts to upstate New York and Brett, that's me, and shouts to upstate New York. So there's no way of making both work. The conference could help shape the entirety of my career going forward and put me in the front of some of the most important people in my profession, but I'll never get to see my best friend get married again. The only thought I'd have is since he did a courthouse marriage last year due to COVID, this is essentially a celebration. So I travel to him and find an alternate weekend to celebrate his wedding, but won't replace the ceremony. Appreciate any thoughts or help with this one. Thank you all, and congrats on baby deFries.
Oh, damn. This is a hard one.
Oh, boy.
I
Oh,
don't
boy.
like this one.
Are you going to the best friend's wedding in Sonoma? No big deal.
Sonoma's dope.
Honestly, this sounds pretty tight.
Or the top 40 in the Adirondacks.
I've never been to that Adirondacks. Is it tight?
It's gorgeous.
Is it like
Absolutely.
I
Sonoma?
thought that word was
No, it's
Adirondacks for about 15 years of my life until I heard
Oh.
someone say it, and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Really?
But it was one of those things where like I could say the word Adirondack to somebody like, oh, in the Adirondack, whatever. I actually can't say it.
Adirondacks.
But when I read it, I didn't know that those two words were the same words.
Huh.
I thought Adirondacks was different than the
You
Adirondacks.
gotta stop saying
At Adirondacks.
the Adirondack. Oh, it's beautiful.
I
They're
d-
beautiful.
I
They're
didn't
absolutely
know.
Beautiful. Oh gosh.
Okay.
What are
This
you
is
doing,
a doozy because honestly, like, if anybody's going to understand, it's your best friend, right? But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's your best friend. Like,
Mm-hmm.
What?
I just think I really don't know how to feel about this because I think if he goes to the wedding, he's gonna be sad that he missed out on the Adirondacks at Adirondacks.
At Adirondacks Strip.
And that is probably gonna set him up. I think if it were me, like, do you know any of these people that you can like link and build with before you go to Sonoma and be like, I'm so sorry, have to go to my friend's whatever. Is there, anything he can do that's networking outside of that
Right.
so that he can go to the wedding in Sonoma?
The more times you say wedding in Sonoma, the more like H for Sonoma weddings like I get.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds incredible.
I mean, is there an elephant in the room that you just want me to bring up, Sally? Make this easy.
About your best friend?
The person who would have been my best man at my wedding could not come to our wedding. And granted, we moved our wedding up.
Yeah.
We did not make it easy on people to travel to
You
it.
gave him about 4 weeks notice.
I mean, in my mind, the way we planned our wedding was much different because Sally was surprising me with actually having a guest list as opposed to what I thought was having. We were having a 14-person wedding.
Right.
And so I didn't really have any expectations for our wedding. And I knew that at the time, he was working a very important job. I knew,
career making.
career molding job. Same thing as this guy. And I understood the gravity of that. I understood that, destination weddings are not always the easiest for people. And just by having a destination wedding in the first place, you're automatically knocking people off the list that mean something to you because not everyone can swing it.
Right.
Like, obviously, if I could have had my best man at the wedding, I would have loved to have him there. But at the same time, I wasn't going to put him in a position where he was going to put something in jeopardy that could have affected not only his life, but his wife's life and his everything. And so do I harvest resentment like long term for it? No. Do I wish that it would have panned out differently? Absolutely. But it's just you have to do what you have to do. And I don't think that anyone knows the answer to that besides him.
I agree. And you're right. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to bring that up. But honestly, I do feel like Will's best friend, like what he was doing at the time, and I would have done the same thing. I mean, I didn't go to stuff when I was in grad school and probably could have, like, maybe made it. Now that I look back, I'm like, I could have made that happen. What he was doing, like, he could not leave, and had what he was doing at the time has, like, set him up to have, like, the best career he could possibly have.
Gotcha.
That's something that you totally understand as his best friend.
I think if I didn't have that relationship with him and I was an outsider, I'd say, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's messed up. But I'm close enough with him that I know how he feels about it, and I know the burden that he probably felt in not being able to do it. And so it's not worth ruining a friendship over him not coming because I know that the situation was not an easy situation to navigate.
Well, and same thing. He's your best friend, so you also know, like, him being present at your wedding not present at your wedding, huge bummer. But also, like, he's your best friend. We're gonna like continue to make memories with him for the rest of our lives. I think he needs to ask his friend what he thinks. Like, honestly, I think the move is do the career thing.
Okay.
Because I think the friend understands.
I will say this: if this was their wedding and they hadn't gotten married a year ago or however long ago they said, I would say, I would be more leaning towards you absolutely should try to go.
Totally.
The fact that they got married and they've been married and they're probably having a modified wedding, it's just a different scenario.
It takes some of the juice out of the one day thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if this wedding's going to be 25 people, 50 people, 150 people. I don't know how big it's going to be, but you taking a time to go see them when it works and you can match both your schedules up, and maybe you take them out to a nice dinner. You do something surprise for them with some of their friends in town. I don't know. But if you can set up something like that to offset that, that's going to mean a lot more to them than you just being at the...
But also, I think because of COVID, people are a lot more understanding of stuff like this. Because now that all of this stuff got pushed back a year, things are ending up on the same weekend. I mean, Will and I are probably going to miss a wedding of some of our friends because I am going to pop out a kid, like, right before. And, like, they understand. Like, they had to reschedule it. So I think people are... hopefully more understanding, and I get that for this guy it's a bummer because it's his best friend of a decade, but I also think because it's your best friend of a decade, like, he's gonna know that, like, you're not missing his wedding unless it's like something so vital to your life and future. It's not like he's like, I've met a girl and, like, we're going to Cabo. It's like, this is gonna make this guy's career, and I think his friend will understand that.
If I'm the friend getting married, I'm like, you better talk your ass off with these
Yes.
networking.
You better
you
end
have,
up
you
in a
have
fucking,
to.
Yeah. And I think, if your friendship is make or break because of this, then, I think you need to reassess some things. But overall, like, I think it's really easy to be someone on the outside saying you absolutely have to go to the wedding and saying that. But at the same time, there's so many things in play, especially given COVID, especially given that the fact they've already been married. There's just so much in play that it comes down to your personal relationship with your buddy and whether or not you think it's going to affect things long term on his end. And if you don't want to lose that friend and you think that that's what would happen, then maybe you just make the wedding work. But if you can find a middle ground and you guys can be on the understanding that, you're not going to let your friendship fall apart because of this and you can move on from it, then by all means, you have to do what you have to do.
I do have to say there's a nagging part of me that feels like there could be another conference. Like, is there a conference in the fall that offsets this entire argument?
Right.
And because it's not like you're not necessarily doing like a job. Like, say you had surgeries lined up that you were a doctor for, you could not skip. You're saving lives. So, like, something along that line, or a lawyer, you have a case that you just cannot. But it's a conference.
I get what you're saying, but also, like, this might be a situation where, like, this happens like once a year, and like, maybe he doesn't get invited again.
Absolutely.
So he knows best the circumstances.
I think
I'm like so horny for Sonoma and wine that I'm like, pick the wedding.
You're right too with communication with your best, like, go have a beer with your best friend here and, like, hey, let's talk this.
Yeah.
Like, really want to get down to brass tacks here.
Yeah.
And the unrealistic, delusional part of my brain is like, how do we swing both in one weekend?
Yeah, literally, he basically said it's not possible. But, like, I was like, what if you go on Friday night and then you fly on a red eye?
No, don't even go down this road with Sally, because if I know Sally like I think I know her, which I think is pretty well.
There's an itinerary. The wheels are spinning.
Making itineraries is Sally's. Like, if Sally was into hard drugs, her hard drug would be making itineraries. And, like,
I've already, like, scheduled the Delta flights in my head, like, of how this guy can make this work.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, he can, because red eyes. If you go west to east on a red eye, Sonoma, hop in Phoenix to New York, train Saturday morning up to...
The Adirondacks is the issue here, though.
Yeah.
Or as I call them, the Adirondacks.
Hard to get in, hard to get out.
Well, Sonoma is the same. It's like, well, you're like an hour-ish away from the San Francisco airport, but it's not, like, easy.
How about a PJ?
Yeah,
get a PJ.
Crowd fun.
Network hard enough that you get an offer on the spot.
Exactly.
And then just replan your friend's wedding for them and on a different weekend and pay for it.
Unlikely scenario. What order are you doing it in, though? If we are following said unlikely scenario.
You got to go conference to wedding.
Yes.
You
Yes.
go to the conference first, but you got to feel like all the big boy deals get done at the end of that
Saturday.
conference.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're not happening
You don't
on
want to
Friday
miss
night.
Saturday
You
at
don't want
this
to miss Saturday
conference.
night.
He's so mad at us that we're even considering trying to get
They're
him
going to
to
have
go.
magnums of
Only
wine that
rookies-
we've never even heard of that
only
they're
rookies go to
pouring,
the
and
cocktail
deals are
dinner
just
on
going to be getting
Thursday.
doled out. It's going to be tough.
But that being said, too, like sometimes the rehearsal dinner is like the most fun part of a wedding. So like,
I know.
you
I
got to
know.
talk to your friend.
Down
dude.
bad. Let's go to the last one here real quick, and then we will get out of here. This one says, "Hey Sal, Will, and Big Game." I don't know why I just did that like a for
Big
like,
game.
Ba-ba-da-doo, like anyway. In short, my wife and I have been together for a little over 5 years total. The last year married, and we have slowed down in the bedroom significantly over the years. I'm usually the one to initiate physical intimacy, and I'm usually met with a no or a hesitant yes. I don't ever want her to feel pressured, but it is something that we have both stated is important to us in a relationship. I'm worried that this could be a big storm brewing if we leave it unchecked, and I've brought it up informally, but it usually ends with us chalking it up to me having a more active libido. I struggle with saying this is a problem for me without making her feel bad or disrespected, and I'm unsure how to address this and have a productive, honest, and direct conversation. Any tips you have about opening up and being direct about intimacy would be greatly appreciated, and congrats on the growing deFries family. You guys want to talk intimacy real quick?
Let's get intimate.
How do you keep it? How do you keep the libido up after being together? Which is, I think, something that a lot of people struggle with.
I think like a lot of couples.
Yeah, a lot of
think-
couples slow down a little bit.
I don't think you're in the minority when you're someone in this situation.
Correct. This is really. This sucks because the real answer here is you go to a marriage counselor and you let like a person who's trained to do this talk
out for
through like objectively with both of you how you're feeling. And it's a hard conversation to have because I think you're always worried about hurting the other person's feelings because you don't want to be the one who's like bringing up like, why is this not happening?
Yeah.
Or on the flip side, like she doesn't want to be the one like, I don't feel attractive or, don't want to have sex with you or whatever the reason is. Because you're always, anytime you're dealing with sex life, it's an emotional and very personal thing. Even when it's somebody you're married to that you like have all the trust in the world with.
Totally.
It's like really hard to be that vulnerable with somebody. Everyone goes through lulls. That's very normal. I think the most important part is being really honest with each other about how you're feeling. And I think that's also the hardest part of it because I think it's really difficult to say to somebody like, I'm not into it because I'm exhausted or I'm anxious or I feel fat or whatever your reasoning is, and vice versa. Like, I don't feel like you're giving me enough for X, Y, Z. Like, it's a very difficult conversation to have.
Is it a thing where a lot of the time, maybe say the man has more of a libido, the man like wants to get it on more, right?
Right.
Is it a situation where he could overthink like she doesn't like me because and it could be 100 other factors for her before even there's like any
Absolutely.
sort of
I think
loss of
both. I think this in
attractiveness.
this scenario, both parties like second guess everything
Yeah.
because it's like if you're the person. Like he's probably sitting here second guessing like why does she not like me? Is
She not attracted to me?
Is she getting it from somewhere else? Like like does she just whatever he might be second guessing and then she can be sitting there second guessing like like does he think I don't like him? I don't want him to think that. Like there's just so many different mindsets that you could be in that if you don't have an honest conversation about it or you don't have someone that's good at working that out, you just might not ever get to the bottom of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think this starts with a very frank conversation of like, this is how I feel. I'm trying to be open and honest and vulnerable with you. I want you to not feel pressured. I want to work on it. I think the best way to do that is like for us to have conversations about it. If you think that would be more productive in like a marriage counseling setting, I think that's also, I'm always such a proponent of counseling or therapy in general.
Right.
It's a shitty conversation to have, but it also is very normal. Like, if y'all were boning like rabbits all the time, you're like just not
boning like rabbits anymore.
You're like, no one is doing that, even if it seems like they are. Like, especially once you're married and like shit is happening, like people, and that's the thing. I think being in a counseling situation, and you obviously can do this in your own home, just committing to being honest with each other, but like, is where you actually get the answers of like, I worked 12 hours today on my feet and I'm exhausted and I feel gross. Or I put on 5 pounds over Christmas and I don't feel my best and I don't want to. Or frankly, like that, I mean, that's just like a fact of life. People's libidos don't match up, like based on what your hormone levels are, based on your gender, based on a bunch of other things. It just sucks that he's going to have to sit his wife down and be like, we need to have an honest conversation about this.
Yeah.
But it can't be right after he's gotten turned down.
I was just going to say, that's the one thing I
Yeah,
really got to be careful
Right,
with.
You can't dive in right there.
No, that's not the time.
Yeah.
Is when you've initiated, she said no, and then you're bringing it up.
And then it's like,
gotta
here we
be-
go. No.
Exactly. That's going to lead to a fight. It's got to be a time when you both are like sitting there, able to talk about it, able to hopefully not get emotional, and then commit to continuing to talk about it, even if it's uncomfortable. And I think that's something that I've learned, like being married is, as much as I love and trust you, it's sometimes hard to still be vulnerable in front of you, you know? Like,
Well, I think with sex and whatever, I think it's.
By the way,
I think
congrats on the sex to both of you.
thanks.
We had it once.
Just
Yep.
the one
Worked
time.
out. Very cool. Anytime that gets brought up with anybody, it's a hard conversation to have. So it's like it's never a fun conversation for anybody to have those conversations. It's way more fun talking about other people having sex than you talking about it with your partner. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
Absolutely.
it's just a way easier combo. Do you think libido is an underrated word? It's one of those rare words that has a vowel every other.
So I'll say this: how you thought that at Adirondacks, when I was younger and like reading Cosmo when I was a teen.
Libido.
Yeah, basically. Like I was reading Cosmo and I was
What
like,
it do,
what's
baby?
a libido? Or like libido.
Libido.
And then somebody said libido and I was like,
It's kind of a swag word.
but like same thing. Like I knew what libido was.
Right.
I just had been reading it in my brain, something different, and then like finally put two
It's
and
like
two
the
together.
first time you try to
context
Google
of-
hors d'oeuvres,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Whoa, that is not spelled how I thought hors d'oeuvres was spelled."
Yeah.
I always thought there would be like a niche, like a niche bar that's phonetically spelled hors d'oeuvres instead of the French way.
That'd be
And
good.
people would be like, okay, I see,
going to-
I see what they're doing there. We're going to hors d'oeuvres.
Can anyone confirm whether or not the bar on the east side called Buckets serves everything in buckets?
Is there a bar on the east side called Buckets?
Yes. Have you been there, Randy?
Paul Pierce.
Randy
there?
has not been there. There's a bar on the east side called Buckets, and for the longest time, every time I drive by it, I think
Maybe
to
we
myself,
just need to
they
go.
should serve everything in a bucket. They need to have fried chicken in a bucket, and most importantly, you shouldn't be able to buy just one beer. You should have to buy
Beer
6 beers
buckets.
all in a bucket.
For $35. It's fantastic.
It, like just have everything come in buckets. I think it's the perfect idea
Like
for that
shrimp
location.
cocktail just comes in a bucket
Bucket.
of ice. Yeah.
Bucket.
I don't hate that.
Oh, you want some fries? Hope you have 3 other people with you because you're getting a bucket of them
Yeah.
for $15.
Sorry about the bucket tangent, but back to this dude's question. No, he said something great. I worry that there could be a storm brewing if we leave it unchecked. You're correct. You need to bring it up when you're just like having dinner one night and be like, hey, I got to ask you something. I've thought about it recently. It's not overwhelming me. I just think that we need to have a conversation about it. But like I said, don't do it like when you're drunk trying to have sex on a
No.
Friday. That's not the time.
After an 8-hour bar crawl
Correct.
This
And
is
then- and
brunch.
you
in the
missed your
house
t-
that she owns.
and you missed your tea time.
And you have a wedding to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a work conference staring you in the face the next day.
That's how I'm going to start mailing or naming mail-in episodes. Just like tie each story
Every
together.
single thing together.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think we did our best with that one and all of them. I think that was an awesome episode. I had a lot of fun. Before we get out of here, we got to do shower thoughts.
I'm in. Get over here, Sally.
Oh. That's what. Wow. Anyway, before I get to my shower thought, if we have enough time, what were your screen names? That's part of the podcast when we have guests on. What were your AIM screen names?
Mine, my first screen name was QT Pie Sally.
Okay. Solid. No X's or
No, just like
underscores?
letter Q, letter T, Pie Sally.
Very swag not having numbers in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was tight. And I had to get rid of that one because
Oh no.
AIM told me that I was younger than 13 and I was like breaking the user agreement. And at the time I was like definitely 14. I was like, this is bullshit. So then I changed it to Big Red 8507.
Big Red.
Big Red. 85. What's the 8507?
I don't know, but
signify?
what's wild about that is, isn't your phone number 8507?
Okay, first of all, it's not.
Oh, shit.
But second of all, even if it was, like, I wouldn't even tell you that.
2057.
What are you doing right now? You're just doing phone number stuff?
We're doxing Will live on the podcast.
But what are you trying to do?
7057?
We'll get there, Will. I'm just gonna look it up and say the whole
Will
thing.
definitely doesn't know my phone number by heart.
Dude,
though.
Dylan said something about his phone number. He didn't even give out any digits. And literally later that day, a backer texted him. I was like, okay.
Just, Randy, delete this part.
I mean, thankfully you didn't say my phone number, but like, I don't know why you're thinking that I'm going to like put my phone number out there.
Okay.
Big Red
Big Red, because
Big
of Bring
Red.
It On.
or the gum.
No, I actually hate the gum. I don't
Maybe
like
the soda?
cinnamon flavored thing. I love cinnamon the spice. I hate cinnamon flavored shit. So I like don't like hot tamales or
Got
Big
it.
Red the soda or
But,
Big
like-
Red the gum.
Cinnamon bun, you're all over.
Yeah, or like cinnamon in my coffee and stuff.
Oh, okay. What was your screen name?
I had two. My first one was Young Willis.
Yep.
It was a name bestowed upon me by some family friends. I don't know why they called me that, but they
Was
did.
it YUNG?
No, it was just straight up Young Willis.
Nice.
And then I moved on. I think I had a few different ones, like some burners.
Mm-hmm.
But then I moved on to, I think at one point I just went to Will deFries, and then I realized like that's Narc Central.
But it's tight to have gotten the Will deFries.
Yeah.
But then I think I went to Wildo 8.
Wildo 8.
Wildo 8 is
But we actually, admittedly, we moved on from AOL Instant Messenger and all migrated over to MSN. And so MSN became
Oh.
much larger for us in
that
our
is
high
like
school.
maybe the most psychotic thing about your group of friends is that you all
No.
used MSN Messenger.
No, because before AOL could do it, MSN Messenger had the functionality to see when the person was typing back to you, and that was big.
Yeah,
AIM,
but it's
AIM
just-
got that.
It got that eventually,
Yeah,
but
okay.
they got that only after we all migrated over to MSN Messenger.
But
In
who was-
MSN Messenger, you could change your display name to anything you wanted it to be.
like who was the one friend who's like, hey guys, think we should like move to MSN Messenger?
It didn't take one like friend pitching it to everybody. It's like if the hot girl in school gets on MSN, you're getting on MSN.
Yeah, but none of the hot girls in our school were on MSN. We were all on AIM.
Yeah.
Did you like how I just dropped that I
Okay,
was a hot
well,
girl?
the hot girls in our school definitely
clique.
made the migration as well. So
I know.
I only chatted with the hot girls in school.
Maybe they weren't that hot if they were on MSN.
Once you get that noise, whoa.
Oh no, it's one. I'm just kidding. I definitely chatted with everybody. Didn't matter. I was a big chatter. That's how I can type so fast.
You don't hunt and peck like Dylan.
Nope.
Imagine having a conversation with Dylan on AIM must have been a workout.
Brutal.
like,
The girls that he was talking to were like, God, is he just laboring over what to say to me
Yeah.
right now?
No, they just definitely thought he didn't like them because it would take him like 2 hours to respond.
Yeah.
They're like,
It'd be
oh,
like a
Dylan's
short
not even
one
like.
sentence thing.
Damn, Dylan takes L's even when he's not in the studio.
I
You
know.
love to see it.
Bummer.
Dylan has to have an awesome screen name though. It's got to be like Slugger, like 83 or something.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely baseball related. I think he said it recently. I think it was baseball related.
Of course. Do you guys have any shower thoughts before we get out of here?
Can somebody say their shower thoughts so I like know what a shower thought entails?
I can go with mine.
Yeah, hit me.
So this actually happened because I was in the shower and I actually tweeted about it this morning. It was a tweet that I actually crafted a long time ago and put in my drafts because
Nice.
I thought to myself, well, if you tweet this at 10:30 at night, people are going to think that you're just like on drugs. And so I saved it in my drafts and I tweeted it out this morning. And I just said, do you ever rub your eyes so hard that it feels like you're in Rainbow Road from Mario Kart? You guys ever do that?
Absolutely.
Like where you are seeing stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't do that enough. I feel like it's kind of a fun sensation. Should I stop? Should I continue rubbing my eyes that hard,
No,
or
you
should I never
definitely
rub
should
my eyes
not,
that
like-
hard?
Dude, is there anything better than the feeling that when you rub your eyes when you have the allergies coming on and you know you're going to take a Claritin or something, so it's like you know it's going to be relieved, but you have to get that inch in.
I want to
Yeah.
rub my eyes
Sometimes
right
you
now.
have to get it in, and sometimes when I'm hungover, just a good like eye rub just really clears things up.
Yeah. Speaking of weird eye stuff, do you ever look at like when it's a really blue sky? Do you ever look at the sky and you can see these little like darts of light
Yeah.
dashing around? They're like little triangles of
I
light.
feel like that's just your eyes adjusting because you're staring near the sun, and so your eyes are just getting weird.
It's totally blue sky. It's really weird, and I've looked it up before because I thought I was dying, Sally. I WebMD'd it.
You thought you had floaters?
Yes.
That's what they're
And it
called.
turns out it's like this really interesting phenomenon with light in your eyeballs.
Oh,
So not floaters. But next time there's a blue sky, look at it and be like, oh yeah, there's fucking
Okay.
is.
Do
Any
you have a
any
shower
thoughts?
thought?
My shower thoughts. Well, I don't want to get in trouble with the Swifties. But Taylor Swift's dropping a new album on Friday.
But the Fearless, the Taylor version?
Yeah, Fearless the Taylor version.
Yeah.
I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. She was my 2020 #1 artist on Spotify.
Yeah.
Same, big same.
So before I wanted to get that out of the way before I said this. Well, I don't get the hype over re-releasing songs.
As somebody who loved Fearless when it came out, I have to agree with this.
Thank you.
Because to be honest, I'm like, I guess there's new songs on it that like weren't released in the past. Like that's
Okay.
exciting.
Yeah, but how torqued are you getting for like a Toby Keith cameo? Or sorry, Keith Urban cameo.
I mean, I wasn't torqued for a Toby Keith cameo, but I am torqued for Keith Urban.
I just like
Love a good Australian
Am I
pop-
excited?
country
Yeah,
star.
but like we've already heard these songs, so like I'm not really that excited.
If
Do you
whatever.
even like know the catalog of?
No, that's the thing. Like I'm so late to the Taylor Swift game that I could just go back and be like, oh my god, like.
Fearless,
If I just acted
Hey
like
Stephen.
Folklore was the first album she ever put out. No, I guess I was into 1989, but if I just took it from 1989 and went forward, I could feasibly just go back and act like she's releasing new albums like once a year and just introduce myself to her old albums.
Fearless was like my entire sophomore year of college. White Horse.
what's
Love
the
Story.
one that everybody loves today? Mr. like Hello Mr. Perfect or something. Goodbye Mr. Perfect.
What?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, it's a new song.
Is that a new one?
I
That's
think
a new
yeah, that's one of
song.
the new ones she's putting out.
Okay.
Hey Stephen was a banger from that.
Cool. Why don't you go call Steven?
Yeah.
Who's the Steven in that? Is it
No, it's just a random dude.
Baldwin, actually.
that'd be wild.
It was. She later came out and said it was like a guy who worked on the tour whose name was Steven.
Oh,
Like the
interesting.
PGA Tour?
No, her tour.
I can totally see Taylor Swift dating a PGA Tour guy.
Actually, yeah.
Absolutely.
You're not wrong. She'd be a good
Like
good
runs
tour
up
wife.
after the win.
She'd be a
and-
good tour
yeah,
wife. I'd like that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't have shower thoughts.
That's fine.
I mean, I do have random thoughts all the time, but like right now, all of my thoughts are consumed with this fact that this baby's literally kicking me in the bladder as we speak. So like, all I think about constantly is
Canelo.
like, what is this thing doing inside of me? You know?
I would
That's the
I would
thought.
wonder the same thing. Like, what does he or she have thoughts? Does he or she like?
No, I'm not wondering that. I'm literally
Oh.
wondering like, is its fist going to crush my bladder?
I see.
I only have shower thoughts at this point because I take 2 a day,
Yeah, I've heard.
maybe 3.
I'm gonna pull a Drew at some point. Just come over and be like, hey,
Drew took one last night
yeah,
at our
just
apartment.
came over to take a shower.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think they came over under the guise of like having dinner with us, but he definitely like
You just wanted
let
to.
it slid in. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take a shower." We were like, "Okay."
He left our shampoos all like kind of disheveled. I was like,
He
dude,
didn't
these were
even
very
try.
orderly before I let you use my steam shower, my man.
Come on,
Alright.
Drew. Gotta be better. All right, guys, that'll do it for the Mail In Podcast. You have fun?
Always.
Had a great time.
Beautiful. Subscribe, rate, 5 stars, review, and tell a friend. Hit us on the hotline, 888-362-MAIL. That's 888-362-6245. Or write in, give us some content at the link in the Twitter bio at Mail In Podcast. We will see you next week.
Bye.
For now, until we meet again.
Goodbye.